This meeting is being recorded.
All right, good evening. We're going to skip the virtual meeting protocol. If we don't know that by now, we're in trouble. And we're going to go to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 4, opening remarks. I think that would fall tonight to, well, I see the town manager's on.
The town manager
No, he's
actually won't
not.
be today.
He's not, I'm sorry. Dennis, any opening remarks?
I would just say that things are going well. Alyssa and Connor have been there every week. We've been meeting every Tuesday with Bacon, and I think we're in a good spot. I've seen lots of progress the last few weeks, so I'm very happy with the way things are going, and hopefully it will all be wrapped up soon so that we can just have a school. But I appreciate everybody's patience, hard work, and efforts. And like I said, it really is an amazing facility, and the student, staff, and community should be proud of what they've done. And I know we're truly blessed to be there. So thank you, everybody. I know this committee had a lot to do with it and put in a lot of time and effort. So we just truly appreciate it, and we're reaping the benefits of it now.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, item 5, approval of September 12th SBC meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the school building committee meeting minutes of September 12th, 2022. Lil?
Motion seconded.
I'll
Scott.
second it.
Scott seconded it. Any discussion? All right, we'll take the roll.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Harsh. Harsh, you're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Next item, moving on to the OPM update. Alyssa?
John, before we go to Alyssa, there's somebody on the phone. I just want to make sure that that phone number is one of the committee members. It's a 781.
John Bartecki.
Oh, hey, John. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
That's
a
all
vote.
All set. Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry, John.
Yeah, good. All right, we can see your screen, Alyssa.
Okay, great. All right, so I will kick it off. We continue to meet with Bacon on a weekly basis now. CHA is still spending at least 3 days a week on site, sometimes 4. We're continuing to track warranty and punch list items. So we've actually set up a Google form that we've allowed teachers and staff to fill out any of the deficiencies that they have, or if any of the small wares are missing and or back ordered, they're able to alert us of any of those issues. So we continue to share those with Beacon, and then for any of the furniture related items with WB Mason. So we had them on site, we had WB Mason on site with their installer for several days to wrap up many of the punch list items. So we're in good shape there. The Rulon panel installation is ongoing. So that work's been taking place after hours. They did bring in an additional crew to help facilitate that work. So we're looking at least 8 more weeks of the Rulon panels. So as you guys know, it's in several areas of the building. So just continuing to track that and monitor the progress. The remaining locker tops were installed, as well as that safety railing that we voted on a few months ago. So I have pictures of that I can show you all. The display cases in the lobby are in progress. The wall pads in the gym are about 95% completed. We did get the balance of some of the custom fit wall pads, and then the de-escalation rooms will be done, scheduled and done as well. So just continuing on with the wood ceiling in the lobby that's been completed. And then now we're working on the acoustical baffles in the library. This weekend, actually, the glass was put in at the skylights, so that's just going to be glazed in. That's going to be weekend work. And then we're continuing with owner training. So the BMS controls training is this Thursday with the facilities staff. And then lighting controls will be completed this week, and that training will be scheduled. So we're in pretty good shape with our progress. Here's the playground update and the little outdoor area. Playground in the back by the field. And then you can see the locker tops were installed, as well as that railing. So if kids were to put a backpack on top of the lockers, they can't push it over to the floor below them. So that ended up coming out really nice. So this is the Rulon panels here. At this point, this glass is in, it just needs to be glazed in. And then these tack boards with the Rulon panels are going to be completed too. So this is some of the progress. This is in the pre-K wing. Just to go over some of the scheduling for the next 3 weeks, we'll be replacing doors. So any of the damaged or missing doors, we have all the doors in the building, but any of the doors that had any issues are being addressed and replaced. So we installed those glass at the skylights this weekend, and that work will continue next weekend to finalize it. And then that guardrail will go up to just prevent anybody from climbing up on those skylights. So that was approved as a change order. So inner build continues with some of the display cases and the trim, and then the cork board at the corridors, which I showed you guys an example of. And then the glass display cases will be done next week. K&K continues with the ceiling beams at the media center, so that work has just begun. And then the missing lobby wood ceiling. So for several weeks, we have New England Interior on site continuing that Rulon. So again, they did bring in an additional crew to help supplement that work to try and expedite it. The wall pads at the de-escalation rooms are scheduled for the next few weeks. And then the operable partitions are going to be installed in November. So systems has been on site doing lighting controls and any of the remaining light fixtures that needed to be put in. So those shades that were missing, you guys will see those coming in and being installed. And then just working through the vehicular gates and some of the shades that were in the cafeteria. So that's some of the post-occupancy work that's going on. Oh, does anyone have any questions on the schedule?
I had one or two, Alyssa.
Sure.
So this goes out to November 26th. Is there anything that's actually scheduled beyond that you're aware of, as of right now?
Yeah, at this point, they've told me that they think the Rulon panels is going to go into December. So that would be the one thing that we know of right now that's forecasted to go that late. But again, that's purely aesthetic work, and they're doing that after hours.
Okay, and then I asked about this before, but I honestly forgot what you said. So we had to buy the used technology equipment, right, to meet the opening. And the expectation was that would be changed out with new equipment? Is that
Yep, so we
correct?
ordered
And when is that happening, or how is that scheduled, you know, under
so I'm
this?
in contact with Michael Shantz, but that was scheduled to ship out in November. So I can get an update from him on where that shipping lies, but that was for the wireless access points and the network switches.
And is that going to be done by the contractor team, or is that going to be done by the school?
It's an owner vendor, so they used K&M to do the work previously. So I'm assuming that that's who he's going to contract again to do that work.
Is it a responsibility of this project, or is it something direct to the school?
I would
Is it
have
something
to
you need
check-
to track? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would have to check with the MSB on that. We would use it as a change order. And then they determine whether or not that they would reimburse any of it.
Okay. Thank you. That was all I had.
All right, so we had a couple building committee meetings that will eventually just be hopefully for payment of bills and any owner requests. So the next one we had was November 14th, December 12th, and then January 9th, but I could see that one potentially pushing out for vacations and things like that. So this is what we're projecting right now. And then again, just continuing to track that budget. So again, we're in good shape. Looking at where we are at now in terms of contingency, this number is going to be a little bit lower at 2.3 because we did include a contingency request a few months ago for the overage for the FF&E. So we had 2.4 for that, and then we voted to spend some additional funds. So once this is paid, this will reflect a lower number of 2.3. But we're still in really good shape with that. Our original PFA budget, we had contingency of $8 million because of the bid savings. So then when we revised the budget, we dropped the contingency down to 3.7, which again was clearly more than enough for what we were doing here. One thing I did want to track with everyone is we're still finalizing that asphalt escalation price that we've been speaking about for the past couple months. So we probably are going to see that on the next month's agenda. So again, just continuing to track budget. And that was it for that.
Okay, any questions for Alyssa on the OPM update?
John, this is Lisa. I do have a question.
Yeah,
I was at a meeting after school today, Alyssa, and the head nurse was asking about the fields that is now used for gym. She said she was out there and it was like a swamp out there. I know we've had some rain, and I didn't know whether the question was, are the fields complete right now? Or is there any more work going to be done out there?
The fields are complete. As far as the wetness, I'm not sure. I'm sure that was probably because of the rain.
Yeah, yeah. And then she asked if they were going to be labeled, if there was going to be signage out there saying what they were, you know, because I guess if the nurses get an emergency call to go out to the playground, they need to know what playground they're going to. That was just a question from today.
No, I don't-
I'll give them a map. We have one. I'll share it with them.
Okay, thank you.
Dennis, this is John.
hey, John.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it may, that may fall under what we talk about with this directional signage,
Okay.
but you're all done with that, right?
As a matter of fact, I have it for you for our meeting tomorrow, John. Yes.
All I'm saying
It
is,
is all
I think if you want a few signs for that, it may fall under that. If you
Okay.
haven't used everything up, that's all.
All right,
Something to
we
think
can
about,
talk
that's all.
about it tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. If that is it, if there's no questions, we will go on to item 7, the designer update.
Hi. Like CHA, we are still out there and obviously available to make sure things get done and done correctly. John's out there every Tuesday, spends pretty much all day out there, which coincides with the weekly job meeting. We sent out a memo, right? There's another change order like usual. It's fairly small one, I guess. About $36,975, number 18. Out of that, well, assuming it gets approved, you're at about 2.04% of the cost of the construction, which is very reasonable. You take out the unknown site issues like boulders or repaving Wally Kruger Way, and you're about 1.6% in change orders. So we just like to keep things in perspective, and those are really good numbers. I can go through the change order if you wish, John, or
Yeah, Gene, just hit the highlights.
okay. All right. Well, there's a big chunk out of the $36,000. It's about 16,000. I'm just rounding. That was additional cost paid actually to the elevator subcontractor. The delay in getting the permanent power to the building ended up delaying when the elevator contractor could complete their work, test it, get the state inspection, all that. So when the furniture showed up, right, which was very important to keep the schedule, we wanted, they wanted to use the elevator, but since it hadn't been inspected and approved by the state, you actually had to pay one of the elevator contractors to run the elevator to get the furniture up to the second floor, down to the ground floor. So the cost of that was $16,245. And both CHA and RDA kind of reviewed that and approved it. So then we had one that was about $9,800 if you round it. And that was to install bollards, or like there's these posts that you see, at parking spaces or around transformers, steel pipes that stick out of the ground and filled with concrete. And we were asked by the permitting officials to put some behind the transformer, which was actually behind the dumpster enclosure. So we felt like it's fine to do. We always thought it was pretty pretty hard for someone to get through the dumpster to hit the gas service, I'm sorry. But we did put them in. And then also, this was an interesting one. There's a garage door on the back of the ground floor, and you open it up and it opens up into the big receiving room. And we were asked by the plumbing inspector to put 2 bollards in front of the door so that vehicles couldn't get into that big room. You could back up to it. There's space wide enough that you can get pallets through them. You really have a free flow for deliveries. But the big issue was there's not a floor drain inside that room that would go to a tight tank if there was ever a gas spill or oil spill. So they wanted to make sure vehicles did not get into that room. And if there were spills outside, it would go into the storm sewer system where there's gas oil separators, et cetera, et cetera. So that was between the two, that's about 26,000 out of the 36,000. And then there are a number of small ones. There's one for I'm rounding $1,100 to put some sealant between the window sills and the window units themselves in the cafetorium. And I think that's something we just felt might not have been in the drawings, but it should be there for like sanitary and aesthetic reasons. So we thought that was kind of a small number to pay to make sure water didn't get down behind the sill. There's a $6,400 one, which covers moving some underground electrical conduit in the playground, which, to be honest, I wasn't even aware of. There's a tennis table. Maybe Dennis knows more about it, but somehow it's hooked up to a power source, and the tennis table was relocated either as part of the shop drawings or part of the construction, depending how the playground was getting laid out. So we had to pay the electrical contractor to relocate that conduit. There's another $1,100 one for some electrical and data raceways that run under the built-in desk at the main office, and that had to be messed around with for some reason or another. And to be honest, I'm not sure. But again, for $1,100, it seemed like something to keep the job moving and get it done. So the electricity was where the staff wanted it. And then the final thing we've talked about a few times, and for a while it was kind of touch and go with the plumbing inspector again, whether he was going to be okay with a temporary occupancy permit. But he wants these rooftop units. They have an exhaust that goes out the side, and he feels like it should go out and then up in a stovepipe, for lack of a better word. So there's about $2,200 to turn those into stainless steel, kind of double insulated pipes. And we recommend approval of that, given that it's coming from the inspectional services folks. And that's it. Otherwise, I just want to reiterate that we're, not to change the subject, but we're just as interested as always in attending the meetings and making sure things are done correctly. So we'll be there as long as it takes. I don't know if John or Alyssa, if you guys have anything to offer beyond what I just went through on the change order, but I think it's all pretty straightforward. I'm not hearing John or Alyssa say anything, John.
Does anybody have any questions for the designer update?
I do. It's Mike.
Sure.
This playground electronic table tennis, is this actually a unit? What are we buying for $6,000?
To be Michael, to be honest, I don't know what it is, except that there is a power source required for it. And Dennis, I think I saw you kind of questioning, like you don't even know what it is, right?
I have no idea what it is, Gene.
So I don't know, Alyssa, do you know any of the background on changing the location of that piece of equipment?
I remember talking to John Bartucki about this, so I think he can jump in if he's still on.
It's an electronic piece of apparatus that goes in the sixth grade playground, and the power source for it was mislocated, and the electrician had to run some extra 120, 130 feet of conduit and wire to be able to make it functional. And that's what the cost is. This is between the excavator and the electrician retrenching this to get it where it needed to be, the power source.
But as far as how this piece of equipment operates, I'm just gonna, I have to plead innocence. I just don't know.
It's a 4-kid station. For lack of a better explanation, it's Battleship. They do something electronically on this table. There's a game or a series of games that are played on this table. But it needs power and it needs, I believe it actually needed Cat 6 cable. So it's not a merry-go-round. It's a electronic piece of gaming equipment that sits out in the playground for 4 kids to sit at.
And we
And it
had,
had to be rewired into the building beyond what we showed.
thanks, John, for that. Do we have this on site already?
Oh, it's there. It's there and it's functional, as far as I know.
Okay. And in what playground is it in? Sorry.
It's in the 6th grade playground, which is outside the cafeteria.
Are you saying 6th grade?
Well, it's the
I'm
K6.
sorry, 6th grade. I'm sorry. I'm confused. Sorry. It's the 3rd grade playground. I apologize.
Okay. I
I'm
was
mixing
getting,
my jobs up. Sorry.
Wait. When did we change the building?
Yeah.
Well,
There's no 3rd grade.
Ryan did this.
Just because
I
I'm late,
apologize.
John,
The
doesn't
third-
mean you can blame me for things.
I know. The 3rd grade playground. I apologize.
Okay.
It's actually second.
Well, there's no 3rd
Whatever
grade.
it is.
There's the 2nd grade playground.
Whatever. You guys are the educational people. I'm the builder. All right. So
Do we have a 1st grade? Do we? No, only kidding.
So John, can I ask a question now? Why we're bringing this up about the electronic battleship or whatever it is?
Because there's a $6,000 change order associated with the electrical feed to it.
No, but can I ask a question in regards to the playgrounds and why we're on
Oh,
it? Because
certainly, yeah, sorry.
so I happen to be at the high school this weekend, and as I've said before, I think we really struggle to maintain the existing facilities. I think that this facility has it's beautiful playgrounds, a lot of landscaping, and I think we're really going to struggle to maintain it. But John or John, I think, John, I don't know if it was you had mentioned, is there an O&M plan for these playgrounds? And the structures on these playgrounds and the turf and the rubber turf, or is there not?
are you talking to John Bartecki?
Yeah, I think John had mentioned it before at our last meeting. Is there an O&M plan for these playgrounds and that rubber turf and all the structures on there? So that the facilities department knows exactly what they need to do, how often they need to do it to maintain those structures, so we can figure out if we have the manpower to do it or not.
Yeah, when the paperwork is all complete, all that material will be available to all the facilities people in the district.
But there is going to be an O&M plan for all these playgrounds and all these structures, correct?
Per the manufacturer's recommendations, we have not developed a very specific O&M plan like a facilities manager would. There are owner recommended maintenance procedures for these types of things.
So then
But we have not developed anything specific for the facility.
So you'll provide us with those O&M documents, and then we should have our facilities director develop an O&M plan for that site, correct?
Exactly. It's no different than landscaping or filter changes and things like that. We recommend what should be done based on the manufacturer's recommendations, and we present it all to you, and then your facilities people pull it all together and come up with a plan and a budget to make that happen.
Right, and this is another discussion. I just want to make sure we have that, because I walked around the high school this weekend, the back entrances and stuff. You see the amount of mulch and plantings, and it's beautiful. I mean, we did a beautiful job with these facilities, but we have a very difficult time managing our existing, beds and landscaping and whatnot. I don't know how the district's gonna tackle this and maintain it. It's, we're gonna have to figure it out. But I think it's important that we get those O&M documents so we can develop an O&M plan for that site. The reason
So
The reason I say that is you start talking about electronic playground stuff. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of maintenance out there, so.
I'm not questioning that at all. We have to put all the paperwork together, review it, make sure the engineers review it all so it's complete, and then present it to the district and work with them to make sure that they fully understand what we're giving them. We just don't drop it off with FedEx and hope for the best, so.
All right, because I think when we talked about the life of that rubber material out there, we talked about the lifespan, but there were certain things that we needed to do to ensure that it lasted that amount of time.
That's absolutely correct.
All right, thank you.
John, if I may, getting back to that table tennis thing. Where did that come from? Alyssa, do you have any recollection? Because as part of the planning, I don't ever recall having an electronical game station being put outside. Because I know for one, I would never have suggested that that be placed outside.
Actually, the first time I knew about it was about a month ago because I wasn't also not involved in the design. So yeah, that's the first time that I heard about it. It was about 1 or 2 months ago.
Okay, and I was on the design team and never heard about it, talked about the playground. Lisa was there. Lisa, do you remember a conversation? Dennis?
I don't remember anything, but wasn't that part of some?
I thought there were games going to be painted on the surface for the kids to play.
Yes.
Well, there are games. I'm gonna say I didn't know about it either until the change order came through a couple days ago. So I don't remember hearing about it. I can't even tell you what it looks like. So
I don't think, personally, Gene, unless somebody wants to show me it tomorrow, I don't believe I have not seen it. I don't think it's there.
Okay,
Well, it's there for sure.
John, maybe if you get a chance, maybe Dustin can send us the cut sheet on it or something, and we can always distribute it and figure out.
Well, we have everything. It's just you know my thoughts on this, Gene. So
So I think in terms of the change order, the work was done, and I'm hearing that it was authorized. So regardless of whether we wanted that piece of equipment or not, I think we have to plan to pay for that work, right?
That would be my recommendation, yes.
But I am interested to know what it is and what budget bought it, what budget line item bought it. And because I've heard 3 people that are very involved that weren't aware of it. So it piques my interest personally. But if you have to run something that long, it sounds like that wasn't planned. That's, a reasonable cost as Gene had indicated in his memo.
that's correct, John. I mean, the cost is not, I don't want to say it's not debatable, but it's real. Should it have happened, maybe I need to take a little bit of a spanking. I don't know. I just knew that if it wasn't done, it would hold up even where we are now. And that may have been a mistaken judgment on my part. So.
Well, I think getting the job done is not a mistake on your part. And I think the mistake was somehow there was between the landscape architect and us and the committee not understanding everything that was going out there. So.
All right. Any other questions for the designer update? All right, we're going to move on to item 8, approval of Bacon payment requisition number 21, vote required.
I'll make a motion to approve Bacon's payment. Do you want to go over it first, Alyssa?
No, we had our typical review meeting between myself, RDA, and Bacon. So we recommend this approval. I just did want to mention that we did cut the electrician's portion of the rec because we want to encourage them to wrap up and continue their work. So we did make that recommendation and we were all on board to do that. So this is the revised rec that you're seeing here that was sent out on Friday with this approved amount.
So Alyssa, you recommended that be reduced because the percentage completion wasn't, you didn't agree with the percentage completion, or
That's correct.
is it a retainage, more like a retainage issue?
Didn't want to give them any incentive to leave the job.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So you recommend the $1,175,130.
Okay, so motion to approve Bacon's payment requisition in the amount of $1,175,130.
There a second?
This is Joe, second.
All right, let's take the roll.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Harsh, Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Item 9, approval of Bacon change order number 18, vote required. And that's the change order that encompasses the items that Jean just reviewed with us. So it's in the amount of $36,975.66. Is there any discussion? All right, we need a motion then.
Motion to approve. Pat?
And Joe seconds.
All right, we'll take the roll.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Harsh, Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Item 10, approval of building-wide cellular signal booster site survey, vote required.
So as many of you who may have toured the building and or have heard from the project team or been on the phone with me when the call dropped, there is very terrible cell signal throughout the building. And Michael Shantz, the IT manager for the district, he reached out to a company called Betco. So this is a quote from them to do a survey of the building for $890. So he wants to move forward with having them basically scan the building to figure out what kind of infrastructure they may need to extend the signal throughout the school. He did mention that the entire project is projected to cost $50,000. So where we're at now in terms of contingency, we still have, like I mentioned before, $2.3 million as our balance in contingency, should be a small portion of that. So today we're only approving the $890. And I'm assuming once they do the survey and come up with their plan, we will get a finalized cost for them to move forward. And at that point, we can vote on an actual cost of what it will cost to do it. So Michael sent this quote to me and had a quick conversation with me. Again, this is something that we've been talking about for a couple months now.
In a meeting, honey.
Wanted to recommend this this site survey by Betco.
So Alyssa, just to understand maybe like the bookkeeping part of it. So this is something that you don't really know if there's a challenging signal until you build your building, right? So this survey goes out and they're going to identify, you know, the shortcomings and then make a recommendation as to what infrastructure you'd put in, what technology you'd put in to boost that signal so it's available within the building. Is that right? And if we move forward with buying this equipment, what is it considered part of the FF&E, or does it fall under technology, or is it just something that comes out of contingency?
At this point, it would come out of our contingency.
Alyssa, would this fall under reimbursable from MSBA?
So we only get up to a certain amount per student for the FF&E, and we've spent that. So this would be fully out of the contingency.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to reiterate that we stayed almost exactly in budget with our technology portion of the project.
And I would also say that not having cell service in the building is extremely frustrating. And in my opinion, at times could be a safety concern as well. So even though I'm not a voting member, I would strongly recommend that the committee consider moving forward with this. And anyone who would like to stop by with their cell phone any day is more than welcome to come and experience the challenges.
So that's a good point. I guess from a district school operation perspective, you count on cell service being available throughout all of the region of the district, right? And all of the facilities that the district maintains and conducts educational programs. So I would think that, you know, we need to do the study, figure out what the next step is to make that service available.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve building-wide cellular signal booster site survey in the amount of $890.
Second, Mike Loesch.
Any further discussion?
John, I'll just say I was in Mrs. Bowman's room for the second grade tour. And I don't think anybody could get this, even one bar in that room. So I think it's necessary.
I can if I put my phone against the window in a certain spot. How's that? But it is a danger not having that. If there was ever an emergency, we can't call 911.
Thank you. All right, why don't we take the roll?
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Item 11, report of the communication group.
We don't have anything to report this month.
Great job. Thank you. Item 12, next Mitchell Elementary School Building Committee meetings. So the next meeting is scheduled for November 14th. Item 13, any new business? Okay, I don't see anybody. 14, public comment. All right, well, thank you, everybody. The next item is adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second and Scott.
All right. Yes. Josh, you're muted.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Mark. Welcome to the meeting.
Sorry. Yes.
All right, thank you. The motion was approved. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Bye-bye.